All right, guys. So when my other classes worked on this, I did see that there was some issues with people doing the paragraph about the 1920s and connecting two themes to the 1920s. So I'm going to give you some information here that you can use to work from in order to do that. So first, we know the Roaring Twenties, that name comes from this idea that people could afford more stuff. We had TV, cars, radio, all of those things were things that people could now finally afford because of, you had the assembly line, which kind of came about close to this time period. And you had, after the war, people weren't spending stuff during World War One. Once the war was over, they felt it was safe to spend money again. Like they didn't have to save all their money because it wasn't so, the future wasn't so uncertain. So, people now are buying everything that they could, but this also resulted in like consumerism and this idea that like stuff was more important than people, which was a problem, of course. So this is like the idea of just the money part of a time period. So in addition, we have the Harlem Renaissance. So again, we have this idea that's going to show up over and over, which is it looks good on the surface, but underneath, it is not good at all. So it looks good, everybody has more things, but it's not good because people were like, people don't matter, it's just the stuff that's important. The Harlem Renaissance is the same thing. You have Black people being able to make art and music, in whatever way they want, and being able to make money. But it was still really terrible to be a person of color, to be a Black person in America in the 1920s. The civil rights movement was still decades away. Then you also have, so again, it looks good on the surface. Yay, Black people can make money and make their own art, but like it's bad because like everywhere else in America, it's terrible. Like you'd have to move to Harlem to have any decent semblance of a life. And then in World War I, we have machine gun invention. So they could kill many people in seconds. And so, of course, we're seeing this forward trajectory of technology. So technology is improving, but it's improving to do harm. Like we're not using it for the benefit of humanity. So again, it looks great on the surface. Look, we're so smart, we're so technologically advanced, but like, yeah, we're using that to kill people. And then of course, we also have prohibition, which, oh, apparently I can't spell. Which looks good, no more alcohol, it's bad for families. But of course, did prohibition stay? I mean, yeah, it says that alcohol is illegal, but people partied even more. Alcohol became cheaper. And it also gave rise to like mobsters. So you again have something that looks good on the surface, but then underneath it's not good. So I think you can use any and all of these things from the 1920s to connect to several of the themes that we had in this book. So I just wanted to give you some extra information. We talked about this all the way through. We talked the most, I would say, about this, the machine gun killing people, the improvement of technology. But I think we've touched on a lot of these other things. We just didn't talk about them in super depth necessarily every single time that we, watched one of the clips, except for maybe World War One. But all of these things we've talked about at some point, but you may have been absent, you may have missed one of the days when we talked about it. So I wanted to make sure that everybody had this stuff at their disposal so that when you go to write that paragraph, you have some information about the 20s and ways to tie that to some of the themes that showed up in Gatsby.